Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. I just have another really quick book review for you guys. I had done just a little show of this book here and what you could see in it. Not a in-depth review of the information, just a quick look at some of the photos and yay, I got it in the mail kind of thing. And when I posted that, one of my new friends on the YouTube channel commented that she had ordered a couple books recently that were recommended to her, and when she got them, the amount of information they had was really disappointing, and it's really frustrating when that happens. And so when I read her comment, I thought, you know what? I should just do a little quick review on every book that I have. Over time, I will do that and let you guys kind of see a little bit of what you could expect if you ordered it, because when you're going on Amazon or almost any of these places, they rarely let you see inside the cover, and they rarely tell you anything about the book except for, what's on the back or something like that. So it's hard to really know what to expect. And so I thought I would just start with this one. It's called Guide to Succulents of Southern Africa. And I was expecting a lot larger of a book, honestly, which I've had this one for a while. But it's a smaller book, which obviously it's not South Africa, which would just be one country in Africa. It is supposed to be Southern Africa, which should include a lot more than just South Africa, which should be even more plants. So I'm not exactly sure how they decided what plants to put in this and what plants not to, but it seems kind of random, but that you can't have them all. I understand that, so I'm sure they had some rhyme and reason to choosing the ones they did. I'm just not real aware of what that is. And you can see the authors are Gideon F. Smith and Neil R. Crouch. Sorry, I'm having a frog in my throat here, you guys. All right, so the one thing I love about this book is that it has great pictures, and which is always nice. It starts out with a quick introduction, and then main types of succulents here. A little bit about conservation, a little bit about where they grow and their habitat, a little bit about useful succulents like aloe, agave, etc. that are harvested for various things. A little bit about gardening with succulents, but again, this is a very, very tiny section and we move right into plants. So if you're wanting a practical guide of what to do with these plants, this is not for you. If you're wanting a book to just have that is beautiful, that people can flip through, that kind of is the layout of this book reminds me of a wildlife identification book or a wild plant identification book, but not nearly as much information. But the layout, I'm sorry, bumping the camera here. The layout reminds me of that a bit, and the way they just did arrange things and the format and stuff. So the first thing I'll mention so that's all of the information, general information it contains. Then we get right into the specific species, and all of it is specific species until we get to the glossary, which isn't very big but does have some words. If need some explanation on that, and then of course the index for looking things up. And as far as the index goes, you have to use it a fair amount because it's arranged a little bit oddly. So at the top here you can see century plant family, and then it has the, I believe it's French pronunciation, and then the American, well, no, that's not that this is the scientific name of the like parent species on this side here. So and then in each section, so at the top, sorry here, this is a little bit awkward, the way this is arranged. At the top here, you'll see it has the family plant, and that changes as we go along into all of the different families that they have included here, which again is not nearly all of the types of succulents that are in Southern Africa, but the ones that are included. And in each section, they are arranged alphabetically by their scientific name. And so if you don't know the scientific of your name of your plant, it can be a bit clumsy to try and find something. And B, if you don't know the parent type of your plant, it can be a little bit clumsy. But of course, you can always use the index. Now, as far as photographs, all of these are in Habitat. Well, most of them anyways, not really cultivation, which is kind of fun, I think, and nice. And I like having some books like this with a few habitat pictures. Some of them are really good and up close photographs that would be helpful for identification. Some of them would be a bit more difficult because it's back further. Also in books, I'll just mention this as far as identifying things. When you're looking at a lot of the aloes and a lot of plants, honestly, they have very different foliage in juvenile stages of their growth or juvenile stages of leaves than they do in the adult stages. So you might look at a little start that you get from a nursery and compare it, you know, to an aloe in here and think, okay, there's no way they could be the same thing. And they actually are. And their growth habits in the wild can look fairly different from what we're accustomed to seeing them cultivated like here. So just keep that in mind. So yep, every new section as far as how the types of plants, we'll just do a really quick, I'll just read through the lists of plants here that they have sections of. So it starts out with the century plant family. We move to the carrion flower family, the aloe family, daisy family, cactus family, Crassula family, which is the largest section by far in this book, cucumber family, dragon tree family, euphorbia family, geranium family, hyacinth family, mint, ice plant, granadilla, pepper, purslane, mistletoe, and grape are the family types that they have in here. And yeah, I'm not exactly sure why they list the kind of American name here and then, but then list the entire Mesembryanthemaceae. With it's kind of an odd mix of kind of common names and their scientific names, which is fine, but along the top, and then the French thrown in, which I'm not exactly sure that the purpose of that. But as far as the actual sections on the plant having the actual name, most of them don't have, well, I shouldn't say most of them, a lot of them don't have common names, but many of them do. Like you can see, you know, they'll put under here sour fig or strawberry meseme or whatever. And so that can be helpful. As far as the information on each plant, you can see as I've been flipping here, there's just, you know, a little section on each plant, and it kind of reminds me of Wikipedia in a lot of ways. But without the links and without nearly as much information a lot of times. One of the things that I love about books in particular that is hard to find or duplicate online is that a lot of times books will talk about similar plants or plants that grow close to it, etc. For example, in the Crassula family, so the Crassula strayi is a plant that I have, and I was talking to another lady who also has a plant, and she was commenting that her leaf shape was slightly different, and she was told it was a stray, but she wasn't sure, and asked if I could help her identify for sure, and if there were any hybrids, etc. And so I started digging, trying to find any information I could, and was coming up just empty-handed. And all of a sudden I thought, you know what? I should just check in that little book that I have sitting up there and just see if it has anything. And sure enough, in this very little description, which was tiny compared to all of the reading I'd been doing, it mentions that often Crassula strayi grows alongside the more vigorous Crassula multicava. So I immediately looked up the multicava, and sure enough, that's what it is. It has slightly more spoon-shaped leaves and just a few different, but looks very, very similar. And this was the only place I found it. And the reasoning for that is that the best reason I have seen is that a lot of times we're reading growers' descriptions or nursery descriptions, online of the plants, and so they're just describing the plant itself because that's what you can order from them. Whereas in these type books, they often describe a little bit about the habitat or surrounding areas, which can include things like this, which can be really helpful when you have fits identifying a plant, etc. Yeah, so I have definitely found this book helpful, but as far as, reading about Crassula stray to figure out how to take care of it, it definitely contains helpful information. I think it tells you, yes, it grows along ledges and moist forest earth banks, so obviously they like a lot more water than a lot of different succulents. They don't like as much sun because they're used to growing on forest floors, etc., close to water courses. And so you can get, you can definitely get helpful information from these type books, but it's not a cultivation book. It's just a little overview of a lot of these guys. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So in each section, like I mentioned and then kind of got distracted from, in each different section, which changes up at the top here, based on family, then you start from A and go all the way back again with each new section, which I would prefer it being just alphabetically arranged from front to back based on the scientific name, not grouped in family groups and then alphabetized. But there are some advantages, to this, and the more that I get used to it, the less it bothers me. And I haven't used this book a ton, but I do enjoy just kind of reading and looking at the pictures and whatnot, just for fun. And it would make a nice little coffee table book or something if you have geeky friends like me. I would definitely pick it up on a coffee table and flip through it and be happy. But it doesn't have, a lot of detailed information. For example, I'll show you, for lithops, there's only two species here, and there's, I don't know how many species in South Africa alone, much less Southern Africa, which yeah, but so it's not a very comprehensive book on these guys, but it does have some of the more unusual ones, just not a ton. So that's a quick little overview of this guy. You can find him on Amazon if you would like to order him. I will go ahead and put a link in the description just so that you can see it if you want to. I think it's really reasonable. I wanted to say it's about $14 or something. And for $14, it was definitely a nice little purchase, although for the most part, not information that you couldn't find fairly easily online, most of it. Especially if you put the plant that you're looking for, the information in, along with the description, like habitat or something like that, so that you can look up a little bit more of their location naturally. I just had a thought that just then flew out of my head as I was trying to finish that one. Yes, but when you're identifying succulents, sometimes having a book is really nice, because online it's not so easy to just flip through all of these. You have to think up names to search, and so that can be helpful. But this I would say is not the best book for identification, because they're all in their natural habitat and they just can look so different to what we're used to at times. Here, or it just won't show, it'll show a close-up sometimes and not always show a picture farther back so that you can see what the whole plant looks like. But other times it has quite a lot. But anyways, I think I will leave it at that for today. A Guide to Succulents of Southern Africa, and again by Gideon F. Smith and Neil R. Crouch. A nice little book if you're interested, but not great for specific cultivation stuff. It seems like that's kind of a hole in the market, is having detailed guides about growing these guys, actually full of really practical information. But I'm sure they're out there. I will keep doing a little video to show you guys some of these things. I have several more books that are coming soon also, and I will do videos on them just so you guys can have an idea of whether you would want them or not, because it's always nice to be able to see a little bit more of them. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Have a fantastic day and happy growing.